Hello everyone. Today we are talking about natural disasters and I hope you know what is it. So look at the blackboard and see natural disasters or natural events. What is the difference? Natural disasters, and it is something that humans feel. Because for the nature it's not a disaster actually, it's event. So for human beings it's natural disasters. And the first thing we will talk about is climate and weather. Hope you know the difference. So let me remind you something. Climate is the weather condition prevailing in an area in general or over a long period. So as you know, there are some kinds of climate, subtropical, tropical and others. And what about the weather? The weather is everyday situation, the state of the atmosphere at a place and at a time. So every day we can notice different kind of weather. For example, in London they have rainy weather almost all every day. And in Ukraine we have 4 seasons. We have very nice climate for the planting, for the fruits. We have many different natural resources, and our weather is different every day, but it is very nice for the people and for the nature outside. So there are many kinds of natural disasters, and today we will talk about some of them. So the first thing we will talk about is flood. Flood is a lot of water that covers many streets, plants, sometimes houses, and it is very destructive for the nature and for the people. And for example, in the west of Ukraine, because of deforestation, deforestation is a process when people cut trees without thinking about the future. So, and because of this, we have flood. And what is opposite of flood? It is drought. So GH is silent, drought. Drought is opposite of flood. It is a time when we have no rain, when everything is dry outside, and as a result, people have famine. Famine is a process or a period of time when there is no food and everyone is suffering from lack of food and lack of harvest. The next thing we will talk about is earthquakes. So quake is translated from Japanese is shaking. So earthquakes is shaking of the land, shaking of the ground, and it is very dangerous. And if you know, in Japan we had earthquake maybe the previous year. And another thing that is a natural disaster is tsunami. Tsunami is a very hard waves. And the beginning of tsunami is the earthquake. So the earthquake happens in the ocean, and then it comes out from the shore to the shore as a big wave. And I hope we will never feel it or see it, be the witnesses of it. And so earthquakes and tsunami, they have the same background. So earthquakes is very dangerous. And how do you see, how can you notice, how can you be warned about tsunami? When you're on the shore and you see that suddenly the water is disappearing, it means that it is something dangerous can happen. So leave the shore, leave the beach very fast, and I hope you will be safe and your relatives too. Okay, the next thing we will talk about is heat wave and cold front. So those are opposites, but both of them are very destructive and very dangerous. So heat wave is something that is hot and it happens suddenly. It's the temperature is rising extremely fast and extremely high, and many people, they can die, they can suffer from it, and sometimes it happens. And when you listen to the weather forecast, you can see they say sometimes heat wave is coming. What about cold front? Cold front is opposite of the heat wave, and it's a period when suddenly the temperature goes down, and sometimes it can be -40, -30, but because it is very sudden and because it is very fast, Many people can suffer and can die as well. Okay, the next one, the next natural disaster is blizzard. So blizzard, squall, and avalanche, they have the same background. The snow is the background of three of them. So blizzard is a very hard snowfall, and it's falling very fast, and it is very hard to see through it. The squall is a very sudden blizzard. So imagine that it is a winter day and you are going for a walk, and maybe it is snowing a little bit, but then suddenly you cannot see even 1 meter from you. What is the avalanche? Avalanche is a natural disaster when you are in the mountains. For example, you went skating or skiing to the mountains, and suddenly you can see or you can feel an explosion, and then a big snow coming out of the top of the mountain. So it's called avalanche. All right. The next natural disaster is a landslide. So landslide, I think you can guess. It's when you have the top of something. It can be mountains, it can be plain, it can be hill, and then a piece of land just coming down. And it is very dangerous. It can be on the west of Ukraine, in Crimea, and in other mountainous places. Explosion. As I mentioned before, explosion is something like sudden noise. It's kind of boom, and you can see it, you can hear it, and it is very dangerous. The next natural disasters we must mention is forest fire. And forest fire is happening very often. First reason is hot weather, and the second reason is humanity. And it is very dangerous. That's why very often and usually we talk to children, we explain them that it is not good to take matches without parents to the forest. It is not good to play with matches in the forest. It is not good to leave the fire burning without people watching it, because forest fire is very dangerous for animals, for plants, for people, for everything. Lightning, I think you know what lightning is. It's something that appears on the earth, and it's sudden kind of light. Okay, the next one, mudslide. So it's kind of landslide, but mud. Mud is like dirty land, it's like wet, and it is very dangerous. The next natural disasters we must mention is volcanic eruption. I think you know what is a volcano, and eruption is kind of explosion when the magma, when the fire coming out of the top of the volcano, and it is very hot, so it's very dangerous. Okay, the next thing we should mention: sand, thunder, ice, hail, rain. And if you see, I mentioned like storm, because all of these words can be compound word for the with the word storm. Sand, storm; thunder, storm; ice, storm; hail, storm; rain, storm. I should tell you and remind you, maybe you know, maybe you not, that all of those words, when they are compound word with word storm, we can write them together. So it's one word. All right, and let's move on. Let's talk about hurricane, typhoon, cyclone, monsoon, tornado. So actually, they are kind of close to each other, but they happen in different territories. So, for example, tornado usually they happen in the USA. If we're talking about monsoon, maybe you know it's kind of period in India, for example, and they have monsoons almost every year in the same period of time. So typhoons, hurricane, cyclone. So they are happening just in the different periods. In different places. So what are the reasons of natural disasters? How can we survive? How can we prevent of them? And how can we live? And if we can, what can we do to make them happening less? About all of this we will talk next time. Now I want to tell you that at the bottom of the screen you can see the link to the site where you can check if you understand the whole information that you heard today, if you know all the vocabulary, if you memorized it or not. You can check your knowledge. Just look down the screen and go to that link, and I hope you will be successful in your learning English. Good luck and see you another time.